Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the final round of the GT3 Sprint Series brought to you by Raceface, and it's for Season 10. My name is Stephen Koenig, and not in the box this evening, but is going and keeping an eye all the way from the Bundus is Jarman Price. He's going to be out in the chat going and enjoying a little bit of the conversations. But we have returned. We have finally come through to Bathurst, one of my personal tracks that I thoroughly enjoy, with a huge history to it, such as the beautiful Bathurst 1000 that goes and keeps drivers on their feet, with the big Aussie V8s right into the likes of the Bathurst 12 hour and 24, also happening where guys utilize GT3 cars, touring cars, whatever they can get hold of, including their own local racing, being able to do it. Couple of corners to keep an eye out for. Turn 1 is H-E-L-L corner. It is hell corner, something to be very cautious with. That tight left-hander to get yourself going before you go and stomp your way down the straight into Quarry Bend, which is a long right-hander. Carry the momentum up through as you start climbing the hill, then to get to Montgomery Park right at the top. Head through to Skyline, maneuver your way down before you start making your way down the hill. And this is where you've got to keep the car absolutely perfectly balanced. Otherwise, you will ricochet off the walls like no tomorrow. So it's something to be very cautious of. Right the way down to the bottom of the circuit is called the Forest Elbow, which is a left-hander. Very tight left-hander as you go through Skyline, the Dipper, into the Forest Elbow, down the Conrad Straight, or the Hanger Straight is... It's got two names, and into the Chase and into the final corner. Something to keep an eye out for. So utilizing all the old words, but let's take a look down at qualifying. Welcome. Glad to have you guys here, and take a look out on circuit. Some beautiful shots as these GT3s climb their way up and down the hill, or the mountain of Bathurst in Australia. Yes, turn your screens over. We're in Australia. Couple of things to note though, we do have some championship plays, and I don't think anyone's going to be catching Ryan Ottens, who is our current champion and has done enough to secure his victory for the race. Second place though is something a little bit more different that even the driver didn't expect to be that high up. It is Air Force One SES taking flight. He's currently in second place. Not too far behind, though. He does have Sanjan Pillay going to be making a bit of a charge to go for that second place. So the battle between SES and Sanjan Pillay is only separated by 5 points. So something they need to be well aware of. Jan van der Merwe also lying in fourth place on 175 points, chasing down Sanjan Pillay's 186 points. And then right behind him is Daniel Demetrius Pretro, who's in 5th place. And I don't see Daniel here this evening for the final race, so that's a bit unfortunate. He was in 5th place, but he is getting chased down by Bashir Jadwat, who makes his return. He missed out the last race due to unforeseen circumstances, but he is back out to prove a point, and it's good to see the SRMC driver putting down the charge, and he's lying in 6th place and has a chance to go into that top 5. Nicholas Manuel also will be taking the fight. Nicholas Manuel is in 7th place in the championship, and just taking a look to see if I can see him in... No, doesn't look like he's here as well. Well, that being said, we do have two new drivers. Well, we got a returning driver and a new driver, as we see the lap time starting to come in. A big Raceface welcome, and I want to see you guys out in the chat as well to Krashan Naidu. Good to see him out there. A big welcome. His debut race is this evening and puts himself into the top 3 with his first lap, which is absolutely incredible stuff. And a returning driver all the way from the UK who went and represents South Africa in cricket is Kieran Patterson. So Kieran Patterson has returned, everyone, the PWSR driver and the co-owner, I would say, of the PWSR. And good to see him back out there. So new drivers, some new faces joining us right at the end. Ryan Ottens out in 1st place. He's taking the best time of a 2:01.482. Johan Kleinans puts himself, well, he was in second. He gets beaten out by Gideon Rayner. So Johan Kleinans down into third. Kieran Patterson into fourth. Kishan Naidu into fifth. Sixth, Anrik Sikkers. Johan van der Merwe, along with Michael Schultz. SES Days, Harry Duplessis, Tini Nkube, Sanjan Pillay. Then we've got Jean Fafiers, Bashir Jadwat, Dean Kabasa, Christopher Radloff, Cameron de Bastos, Alan Patterson, Daniel de Villiers is out on circuit, Justin Lotus, Eric Kirstein, Kieran Duplessis also, and I see that the whole thing's busy changing. We do have Kieran out, he is over there. Good to see him there. Jaco Krobler, Darren Miller, Charles Darden, Ramona Yonka. Got so many returning drivers, which is absolutely fantastic to see. The guys going to be pushing themselves. Morgan McCall putting himself into first place. And I actually had a chat to Robert McCall and a little bit to Morgan. They are on a proper charge. A redemption drive, one would say, to go and put themselves back on top, and putting a great bit of pace out there, puts himself into first, which is good to see. And then you've got Johan van der Merwe in second place, carrying the momentum through at the moment, trying to get a little bit more power down. Ryan Ottens in third, Kieran Patterson, Christopher Radloff, Gideon Rayner, and there's a beautiful shot up over the top of the mountain. This is where you're going to start working your way down into the sky corner. You're going to brake just as you get underneath that bridge, and then start maneuvering your way down. Hold the gear. Then you bop it down into second. Carry the momentum through. Down the hill. Gets a little bit tighter. You've got to be so careful on the exit, and put the power all the way down into the forest elbow. Here's the the quick left-hander. Very tight. And you make your way around it. So a couple of guys just going and getting those times in. Taking a look over to our grandstands. We got just TIO going and saying, let's go SE. Martin Rotenbach also jumping in and saying, how's it? That's always fantastic to see. Big welcome to you guys. Glad to have you here. And I can't wait to see more. Let's actually see if we can jump on board with one of the cars as they make their way up the hill. This is Cameron de Bastos. You can see properly accelerating as he puts the power down, trying to make up some of the momentum. Oh, and the disconnect. All right, so let's go to Johan van der Merwe. Now he makes his way up the hill. He's trying to claw his way all the way up. You can see constantly fighting, soaring away at that steering wheel, making it work. Now at the top of the hill, this is by carrying the momentum. You can go reasonably flat, and you just have to do an ever so slight lift. You hope the tires are going to hold. And now under the bridge, down the gear, fourth gear, third gear. Carry the momentum down into second. Got to be careful if anyone stops. And you can see how you've got to really crank it to get yourself around these corners into the forest elbow. Braking hard. Turn it in. And now onto what they call the Hanger Straight, or also known as the Conrad Straight, for lots of people to figure it out. You can see just slacking off a little bit, allowing the guys to come through. Was a bit down on his deltas, so I think Johan van der Merwe bailing out of that lap. And we'll be focusing on the charge once again. So we'll keep on board with it just to show where you can do this little right-hander is all flat. A couple of drivers actually giving a little bit of a lift. I think he's just trying to get some preparation to get himself all sorted out. Left, right, and into the second last corner. And now you've got the final corner just ahead of you. It's a heavy, heavy braking zone for all the cars. Something that everyone's going to be well aware of the situation as they put the power down. So just giving us a bit of insight of what this track looks like. Bathurst, an ultimate track. And if you can conquer the mountain, many say that you will be able to conquer it all as they battle their way around the circuit here in Australia. Bathurst being one of the highlight circuits on the calendar, being the final round of the Raceface GT3 Sprint Series, round 8, and will be a championship decider. Well, we know Ryan Ottens has scored the championship win, but second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, all still on the line between the drivers, and that's something they've got to be well aware of. At the moment, Cameron de Bastos leading out the field. Morgan McCall into second place. Johan van der Merwe into third. Kieran Duplessis out in 4th place. Ryan Otten's a little bit further down. He is in 5th place. Jan Kleinans in 6th. Kieran Patterson 7th. Gideon Rayner, Christopher Adloff, Justin Lotus, all battling it out for the top 10 at the moment. Everyone trying to figure out what they can do. See Francois Bertha coming in and also sending a bit of support the driver's way. Good to see you guys out there in the grandstands for Raceface. I've loved to see it. So, getting a bit busy out on circuit. Everyone in the last remaining 4 minutes of this race trying to figure out what can they do to get the little bit of pace. At the moment, Morgan McCall is the fastest through Sector 1. And really, you could see taking it right to the wall, not hanging it back at all, leaving everything out there. 0.4 in the last sector. Let's see if he can keep it up. Down the hill, this is generally where drivers lose a lot of time. Cameron de Bastos is also up on his lap time, so he may be able to keep that first place. But Morgan McCall is setting purple sectors right the way through. Now into the Forest Elbow, down the straight. Can he keep this going? Just maybe he can utilize the slipstream just ahead of him to try and keep it. If he keeps on this lap time, he may be able to do it. Cameron de Bastos, though, does set the fastest sector time for Sector 2, Sector 3. Will he be able to keep up pace? Morgan McCall sets a quicker sector time. So it's a bit of a back-forth battle for first place in terms of sector times. McCall still leading it out. Cameron trying to get close as he can to it. Final corner, little twitchy on the nose. Turns it into the left hand. Can he get back onto the power to keep it? Will this put enough? And does so. A 2-minute 0.9 as the quickest lap time. Cameron de Bastos, though, is starting to make some headroom. He's trying to get a little bit quicker. I see Christopher Radloff has also improved his sector times. He's getting a little bit quicker out there. So a couple of drivers looking to try and improve their times right now. Kieran Patterson also up on his last sector time. So he's trying to move his way up. Cameron de Bastos, though, will he be able to go and beat it out with his time? Last lap time, 2:01.045. Just not close enough to the likes of Morgan McCall, but getting there. I mean, it's just a breath away from one another, to be honest. And then you got Johan van der Merwe. He is down on his sector time, so he's just keeping it all together. Ryan Ottens, he's 0.1 up on his sector time. I don't think he's going to be able to run away. Christopher Radloff, though, is up 0.3 of his sector times. That might be able to get him into 3rd place if he keeps up the momentum with the Mercedes. And does so. That puts him into 3rd place. Right at the last. Ryan Otten, so comes across. He's only holding 4th place. Johan van der Merwe backing out. Kieran Duplessis trying to improve his times. And here comes Kieran Patterson. He's up 2 and puts him up into 5th place. Gideon Rayner also up 2 on his 0.2 on his sector. Losing it out through the Forest Elbow. Under braking at the moment and just losing out that little bit. Causing a bit of drag. And now, unfortunately, that's just going to drop him way down the order. A couple of other drivers. Darren Miller up on his last sector time along with Christian Naidu. And Christian Naidu being one of the new drivers. This is the first time he's taking on the pros here in Raceface. And good to see him out there. He's up 0.1 of the sector time. Will that be enough? Got a little bit squirrely. Will be staying at 17th place. Darren Miller, though, he's also doing everything he can. Michael Schultz is 0.2 up on his last sector time. Losing out under acceleration. Porsche got to keep it all together. If he can just keep this going, it might be able to be enough to drop him out of a 20th position. No, wasn't able to carry the pace. Charles Darden up 0.3 of a second for Fears, up 0.7 of a second. Tinian Kube up 0.1 and Dean Kabasa up 0.1 through their sector times. So the drivers are really just trying to figure out what they can do. Morgan McCall, though, is 0.3 purple, all sectors at the moment, and is on the climb. He is really trying to wring the neck out of the car because he knows that Cameron de Bastos is also pushing as hard as he can to close up the distance. With only 12 seconds to go, all the drivers for the final round want to make a massive, massive impact, and they've got to carry it through. Ryan Ottens, 0.4 up on his last lap time. This will be enough to put him into 3rd place and get ahead of Christopher Adloff. No, puts him into 1st right at the last. A 2-minute 0.7 as the quickest lap time. Let's see if there's going to be retaliation to this. Ryan Otton showing that he is the defending champion. He's won this season, but wants to go and end it off with a bit of a bang. The rest of the field, though, oh, Morgan getting a little bit squirrely into the Forest elbow. He's able to keep up the drive. 0.5. This is going to be close. He may be able to dethrone Ryan Ottens out of that first place. Cameron de Bastos is only 0.2 up on his last lap time, so he is properly hanging on at the moment as he tries to give everything he can to make up the little bit of drive. Morgan trying everything he can. Cameron de Bastos unable to improve, so let's see if Morgan will be able to. He's 0.6 up on everyone as it stands. So let's see if it's going to carry the momentum. 0.7, and does so. Puts himself into first place and putting the rest of the field on notice. Charles Darden is 0.6 up on his lap time. Tini and Kube just ahead of him is 0.4 up, and they're fighting out. Charles Darden in 20th, Tini and Kube in 25th as they try and make some momentum to go and close down the distance to move themselves up. Tini and Kube there, a little bit early on the brakes. He's trying to carry the momentum. Charles Darden gets all out of shape and goes and spins off. That's put to bed on his lap time. Tini and Kube, though, with 0.4, that may be able to move him up into 20th position if he can keep the momentum, make his way through, and does move him up into 23rd. So, while the drivers get ready to rock and roll and get ready to line up on the grid for the final time of our GT3 Sprint Series, Round 8 of Season 10, it is going to be an amazing one. And I've got to say, I'm really loving how the drivers are pushing themselves a little bit harder this season. Take a look at the cars, though. Morgan McCall out in first place. Ryan Ottens in second. Cameron de Bastos in third. Christopher Radloff in fourth. Looking to try and make some movements. Kieran Patterson, Johan Kleinans, Johan van der Merwe, along with Gideon Reyna, Kieran Duplessis, Bashir Jadwat, Sanjay Pillay, SESAs, Kishan Naidu, Justin Lotus, Daniel de Villiers, along with Alan Patterson, Harry Duplessis, Darren Miller, Tienes Buerta, Charles Darden, Michael Schultz in 21st, 22nd, Eric Costain, Tini and Kube, John Fafiers, Anrik Sikkers, Dean Kabasa, Jaco Krobler, and Ramona Jonker rounding out our 28-car field for the final race of the season. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, get ready for 55 minutes of racing. Remember, one mandatory pit stop needed for all the drivers. They need to put at least 1 liter of fuel in the car to make sure that they can come there, count as a pit stop. And they have to park it firmly into the square, and that's something that the driver's going to be well aware of. Keegan Swardson saying, let's go PWSR. Johan van der Merwe also going and saying good luck to everyone. And there's van der Merwe from the car, busy sending a quick message and saying, how's it? And Quinton Ivey, good luck racers, have a good one. So good to see even Quinton Ivey jumping into the box and saying, how's it to the rest of the field. But with everything lined up on the line, 18 seconds to go. Jim at the ready with the green lights. Tim on the cameraman. And some say Tim is part kangaroo. Something to think about. Others say that he's related to a wombat. All we know is he's Tim the cameraman. So let's see what it can go with. Robert Wentworth, Hoy Mealy's Manuel. And I don't actually see Nicholas Manuel here, so he's not going Hoy Mealy's this time. And as they make their way through, Morgan McCall, Ryan Ottens leading out the field. They will be dictating the pace. Let's see who's going to get off the line, who's going to be quickest as they make their way through down the start-finish line. 70 kilometers an hour. Wait for the green lights. Hold, 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 hold. Winter's coming. And away they go for the final round of the Raceface GT3 Sprint Series in through Hell's Corner. Everyone going side by side as now they go and feed in together. Oh, we got a bit of carnage in the back. I see Charles Darden came to a stop. And that looks like for Fears, Dean Cabasa, Daniel de Villiers, Charles Darden, Darren Miller, Justin Lotus, all getting caught up in the Constantina. Christopher Radloff trying to improve his pace as he's got Kieran Patterson right behind him, giving chase. It does look like Bashir Jadwat goes out a little bit wide. He's trying to make a little bit of momentum and claw his way back up through the field. Jan van der Merwe gets a move around the outside of Gideon Rayner. He's able to tuck right back in under Kleinhans's rear wing. Kieran Patterson pushing as hard as he can to get right behind Christopher Radloff, but out in front, Morgan McCall dealing with Ryan Ottens as they push on as hard as they can. Cameron de Bastos dropping into third, but has got clear air ahead of him and behind him at the moment, so he's in a little bit of fresh air. Christopher Radloff opening the distance to Kieran Patterson. Kleinhans going and tucking in right behind the wheel. Johan van der Merwe trying to get away from this battle going on, and that is Gideon Rayner dealing with Bashir Jadwat. SES days. Christian Naidu also pushing himself a little bit further up. Sanjan Pillay right behind him. Alan Patterson going and making up a bit of time. It does look like Naidu going and collecting the wall ever so slightly, and that has allowed Sanjan Pillay to go right up against the rear wing. Just no room to get past as they make their way through the Forest Elbow for the first time, and now got to give it everything they got down the Conrad Straight. Alan Patterson dealing with Kieran Duplessis at the moment. There is Kerry Duplessis. He has got Fafirs right behind him as they all giving it everything they got. It does look like Kerry Duplessis managing to get the run on Fafirs, and Kieran Duplessis taking a bit of damage. He's parked off to the side. The 194 Ferrari going and losing out the drive, and now having the rest of the field coming by and puts him firmly down the order. So that is going to be a bit of a problem there. Let's see if we can maybe go back to that T1 incident and figure out what happened into lap 1. So, without breaking the system, let's see. Fingers crossed this is the first time I'm trying not to break the system. As they make their way through. This is from Tim in the helicam. Oh, contact from the rear. Concertina, and yeah, unfortunately it all looked like everyone trying to hit the brakes and all landing up with one monster of a concertina effect as they make their way through. So Tim giving us the shots from the heli and giving us some beautiful views as the drivers make their way through. So a little bit of concertina effect from all the cars. It did look like one of the Hybrid Academy cars was spun around and everyone had to slow up, and unfortunately once you're in a pack where you got 3-4 cars around you, you just lose sight of it. You get that little bit of tunnel vision and it lands up with a bit of contact. So it's something to be well aware of. SES Days has got Christian Naidu right behind him, pushing as hard as he can to make up some ground and get a little bit closer to Essie, who is fighting at the moment tooth and nail to maintain second in the championship. He has got Sanjan Pillay, who is currently trying to get a little bit closer, and there is Sanjan Pillay, who's lying third in the championship, hoping to take it away. Remember, they've got one mandatory pit stop, ladies and gentlemen, so that allows the drivers some time to go and get the cars repaired. They have to put 1 litre of fuel, and it does allow drivers to change their tyres. And oh no, that's Nkube. Nkube with a bit of an incident. Let's go back a little bit. That is into the Forest Elbow. Down the hill, trying to keep it all together. Makes his way through. Did he outbrake himself? Oh, outbraking and thumping it into the wall. Lamborghinis aren't meant to fly, and unfortunately he just came down into the Forest Elbow with a little bit too much pace, and that's where the incident happened. So a couple of the drivers suffering with some problems. Ryan Ottens has got Cameron de Bastos right behind him, pushing as hard as he can to make up the move as he gets a little bit more drive at the moment. So some proper pace from Cameron de Bastos. He actually did the quickest lap time of the race so far, a 2 minute 09. So he is right onto the back of Ryan Ottens. That is allowing Morgan to get a little bit more breathing room and break away from the likes of these two. A little bit further back, we have got Christopher Radloff keeping ahead of Kieran Patterson. Johan Kleinhans trying everything he can. And then you've got Van der Merwe with Gideon Rayner right behind him. Bashir Jadwat starting to close down the distance between the two. SESA's and Sanjan Pillay going and making up some room. Christian Naidu has got Alan Patterson going and closing up under braking right behind him, trying to force a mistake at this point as they make their way around the course. I see that we have got one retiree, unfortunately, and it looks like one car being towed back will be likes of Tini and Kube, who's getting himself sorted out. Oh, 194 though, got a problem. And what on earth happened there? That is Q and Duplessis making his way around, and did he get caught out? Oh, slight contact against the wall. Brush with danger. He's okay though. Going to make his way down the hill. Third gear. Oh, and just a snap under braking. Bang, crash, thud, and that's all she wrote. And it looks like another one of the Hybrid Academy cars also going bang, crash, thud into the hill. So he lands up with a bit of a problem. And that is number 21, if I remember correctly. If I can see, that would be Ramon Ionka that landed up with a bit of contact with the wall, and unfortunately has pretty much put to bed now. And Cameron Bastos up on the inside, contact with Ryan Ottens. That has created a little bit of a blockade. Kieran Patterson and Christopher Radloff having to take evasive maneuvers. The driver's absolutely stuck at this point. Oh! Nowhere to go. Alan Patterson into the side. So drivers doing everything they could to try and avoid the contacts that were going on, but parked in the middle of the circuit, nowhere to go, both left and right, and it's kind of, you just wait for it. It was on such a great charge, but the slightest of contacts. I actually want to see if we can possibly take a look at what happened. I think maybe, just maybe, it was a slight tap on the rear and landed up to it. But we can actually take a look at the incident from another view, and this is Cameron, yeah, off the curb, unfortunately, and now you can see stuck on a blind corner trying to figure out where he could go. The field, unfortunately, coming by. Once you're in the helicam, you can see everyone just unfortunately nowhere to go, and just contact left, right, center. My word, not what we wanted to have, unfortunately, but it does happen. Gideon Rayner has got Johan van der Merwe, and Cameron, who was stuck in the middle of nowhere, just had, he was holding the brakes as normal. Van der Merwe, though, needs to hold the brakes, overshoots the corner by miles. Bashir Jadwa doesn't want to complain about that. Gideon Rayner says, yeah, sure, no problem. And that is going to Grant Sebastian jumping in. Unfortunately, he's out of the race. He didn't start the race because he is suffering from load shedding. So he's giving a bit of support to the drivers watching the racing at the moment. Good to see him out there as they battle their way through. Tennisworth trying to close down the distance to Kerry Duplessis. Eric Kirstein has got Fifiers for company, and Unrik Sikkers trying to make his way through. A little bit of getting sideways between the two as they maneuver their way around the circuit. And behind them, you've got Daniel the Hitman de Villiers chasing down Jaco Krobler. And remember, Daniel was part of the earlier T1 carnage and now is on the climb as he's got Krobler just ahead of him. Looks up on the inside. Can he make it work though? Nope, backs out of it. Chooses that he's going to rather keep it alive. Krobler gets it all out of shape though. That BMW now has severe loss of drive. De Villiers can line himself up, try going to braking. He's not going to go for the inside line. He's going to back out of it and rather wait for another fight. Krobler, on the other hand, is busy fighting that BMW up the hill, trying to keep it alive, trying to keep it going. But it does look like that rear is stepping out underneath him. Maybe just not having enough downforce on the rear is causing it to be a little bit more of a handful up the mountain. But as they make their way onto the Conrad Straight, that is going to help him. And this is what the circuit does play into, where you've got to design your setup to work in essentially two very different conditions. High speed and high grip. You need to rely on a lot of mechanical grip around this circuit, and that's what the drivers need to do. Dean Kabasa going after Fifiers just ahead of him as they make their way down the straight. I do want to point out a couple of pit stops that have happened, like we have got Schultz, Ryan Ottens, Justin Lotus, Q and Duplessis have done their pit stops, so they're getting it done and dusted. Sanjit Pillay is getting his pit stop. Alan Patterson, they were also part of the earlier contact into a T3, so the guys are trying to figure out what they can do. A couple of things happening though. I see we've got a little bit of a spinner. That's de Villiers. That is Daniel de Villiers. Severe contact with the wall by the looks of it. And what happened to him? Down the Conrad Straight. Did he miss the braking marker? Did that Lamborghini snap underneath him? We've seen that the mid-engine cars like Lamborghini have this awful snap. Goes under braking. Trying to slow it down. Oh, it just snapped. And thud into the wall. That's that car needing a bit of repair. And now having to go work on the climb. So let's see what he will be able to do. Getting that pit stop out the way. That is the positive thing when it comes to it. Janus Kraling also jumping into the grandstands to keep an eye on the drivers. Gideon Rayner has got Kleinans just ahead of him. So Kleinans now trying to get away from Rayner, who's closing down the distance. The GRT Aggressor Racing Team Lamborghini now looks up the inside. Kleinans loses it. And Gideon Rayner taking a massive dive there and saying, nope, I'm going this way. I'm going straight. Forget it. I'm done. That's it. I'm going to continue my pathway. Bashir Jadwat doing everything he can to try and make up a little bit of run. Cameron Bastos going and sending in a run. You know, podium gone, first quali, and then this. I'm really gutted. Cameron, likewise, but don't give up. I know you gutted. And I'm going to talk directly, as we see that was likes of Krobler getting caught out. Eric Costain and Anrik Sukkers are battling it out. Cameron, if I can give any advice, buddy, I see that you're talking to the team whether to park the car or not. I think get back in there. Get back in it. Go see that checkered flag. You will score points for your championship because you're within 31s. Get in there. You can score points. Rather finish the championship properly by seeing that checkered flag. The same way race 1. You saw the checkered flag. Finish it the way it started. Go see that checkered flag. So for everyone out there that has Cameron de Bastos on his phone or Discord or anything, or even Cameron, I know you're watching the team, get back in the car. Get out there. Let's go and see the Sasquatch finish the mountain the way it should be there. Go for it. So I think that's what needs to be done. Cameron van der Walt also going and saying how's it, and feeling the pain at this point. Dean Kabasa and Jakob Krobler, they're going to take it up the hill. But I think we're seeing drivers slowly having the mountain, claiming a few cars. But I still stand by what I say. Drivers that started need a finish. No matter what. Just get to that checkered flag. It will do you. Damage was too much. 5-minute damage. Had to park. Missed the first race. So it was kind of pointless. I don't think it's pointless. I don't think it's pointless, bud. At the moment, we've got 23 cars out there. You got this. If you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for everyone here. And I want to see out in the chat, every single person watching, all 29 of you. I want to see the support and to cheer on, to convince the drivers to finish this race, to get back in those cars, even though they are laps down, to go and see that checkered flag. I want to see those strong arms. I want to see the support to get the people out there. So to everyone out there, the 29 current viewers, the 63 views that have happened since the start of this, let's get these guys back out on track. Let's get them seeing it out there. There's Cameron de Bastos. Cameron, we see the car. You got this. Never give up. Even Zar Essa going and putting up a little bit of a laugh. Zar, I think you and I both know this. Don't give up. Don't give up. So Cameron Bastos is there. Sanjan Pillay is there. Alan Patterson's there. We've got Tini and Kube as well. Come on, guys. Get those cars out. Let's get them back into the race. Let's finish this the way we started it. Going and seeing that checkered flag. Come hell or high water. And you know what? Do it for me. Do it for the guy that sits in the commentary box. Fafier's going and spinning out. He lands up into the weeds trying to get himself going. That's going to hurt his tires and comes on right in front of the likes of that one, the Hybrid Academy. Morgan McCall has got Christopher Radloff chasing him down. Kieran Patterson up into third place, putting up the drive and doing everything he can. So never, ever give up. Put it together. Get it out there. Whether it's duct tape or cable ties, let's get these cars out there. I mean, come on. This is like Lemons Racing. You got to get it back out. Kleinhans has got Van der Merwe right behind him, tailing him right behind and doing everything he can to close down the distance. I do want to point out, though, that Kieran Patterson, after a serious hiatus of going and missing out the races, going and representing South Africa over with some cricket, has not lost his step as he gets out and he sees Cameron de Bastos back out on circuit. So Cameron de Bastos, mate, absolute respect. Absolute respect out there. That is good to see. So he has got the cars like Christopher Radloff right behind him and Kieran Patterson, but he is back out on the circuit. And you know what? Massive respect to do that, to not give up. To all these drivers that still get back in, and with the chips all down, they will put the fight in it. You know what? Mad respect from every single one of us here. And I think the entire grandstand, correct me if I'm wrong, but for everyone that thinks I'm right in this one, that's big props to every single people that managed to get the cars back out there. Oh, Kleinhans gets a little bit of a spin. But, and there's SESAS, he's just also following suit. Air Force One looking for takeoff. But for everyone that agrees with me, that respect for the drivers that are going and making their way, that are going to fight tooth and nail down to the wire, and even though the chips are down, I want to see those applauses. I want to see the applauses for every single person out there. And even if you're not watching this live, I want to see the applauses in the chat, in the grandstands, for every single one of the drivers that are, come hell or high water, will see that checkered flag. So that is my challenge to the grandstands. Now, it's up to you guys to show, to support everyone out there. Kieran Patterson, Gideon Rayner, they are fighting it, doing everything they can to go and battle it out. Kieran Patterson up against the likes of Christopher Radloff, who is out in first place. Gideon Rayner and Kieran Patterson are doing everything they can. Now, see, there's a bit of contact between Dean Kabasa and Jaco Krobler. They landed up having a bit of a problem. But I do want to go back up to our second place battle as Christopher Radloff leads the charge. It's got Kieran Patterson right behind him. Gideon Rayner, who's also been missing out into this, going and fighting out. He's missed out a few races, now is doing everything he can to fight his way up and do everything he can. Kieran looked for the inside line, unable to do it. Cameron de Bastos right up against the back of Gideon Rayner at the moment and is telling them, go guys, go. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to put my foot down and you guys best do exactly the same. Bashir Jadwat trying to make up a bit of time. He's right onto the guys. He's onto the back of Gideon Rayner. Sorry, that's Bashir Jadwat fighting out for position. So second, third, fourth, fifth, all fighting it out for the podiums. They still need to do one mandatory pit stop, and we're 35 minutes into this. So this is going to be a proper fight between all the drivers as they make their way through the hill. Bashir Jadwat right up against Gideon Rayner. Now, Gideon Rayner has missed out a few races, same as Bashir Jadwat, but Jadwat at the moment does have an opportunity to better his overall position in the championship. He's lying 6th in the championship. He's 5th at the moment. If he can get it right, he will be able to get ahead of 2, going 3 positions. If he can get it ahead of Sanjay Pillay, Jan van der Merwe, and Daniel Demartros-Petro, who's not here. So let's see if you'll be able to keep up the pace and get a little bit closer to the likes of SES Days in second place. Currently Gideon Rayner trying everything he can. Bash trying to make a little bit more of a move at the moment. It does look like Kieran Patterson into the box, going to get his pit stop out the way. He's going to keep an eye because Ryan Ottens is coming down the hill. That is the concern. Ryan Ottens has got his first pit stop done and dusted, and now is trying to push as hard as he can to make a distance. So, taking a look at the pit stops time, Ryan Ottens did have, I'd say the third, no, it'll be the fourth of the fastest pit stops in terms of in to out. Kieran Duplessis actually going from start to finish of into the pit box and out was 27.7 seconds, but was waiting for quite a substantial amount of time doing massive repair work. But it takes you roughly 28 seconds from pit entry to pit exit. So let's see what the guys are going to do, battling it out as they push themselves a little bit harder. Morgan McCall out in first, Christopher Radloff in second, Gideon Rayner, Bashir Jadwat, Johan van der Merwe getting himself going, Johan Kleinans, Christian Naidu for his debut race in 7th place, has got Kerry Duplessis pushing as hard as he can. SES is in 9th, 10th is Bertha. Tianis Bertha now doing everything he can to close down the distance on Essie at the moment. Looks for the inside, backs out of it, going to follow them way through. Essie getting a little bit squirrely under braking, trying to keep it all together. And that's allowed Ulrich Sickers to battle in and get into that top, fighting into 11th position. Eric Kirstein, Kieran Patterson back out on circuit. He is ahead of the likes of Ryan Ottens. Jaco Krobler in 14th, Ryan Ottens in 15th. Michael Schultz, who is in 16th position at the moment, trying to gain a little bit of time. Dean Cabasa, Justin Lotus. For Fears, Kieran Duplessis, Cameron de Bastos is still circulating, and is the last of the cars that are still circulating. Sanjan Pillay retiring the car, but I think he can still get it out there. Alan Passon and Tini Nkube also looking. Their cars are still in the server. Guys, if you can, get those cars out. Go see the checker flag. Let's do it right. Let's do it right. Let's get those cars out there. Sanjay Pillay, Alan Patterson, Tini Nkube, my plea goes out to you guys. I know it's been rough, but it ain't over until the fat lady sings. And trust me, she hasn't sung just as yet. The siren's call has not called you yet, and you need to get back out on the circuit. Gideon Rayner right up against the back of Christopher Radloff as they put on the drive, really trying to close down the distance. So Gideon Rayner doing everything he can. Bashir Jadwat has got Cameron de Bastos right up against the rear bumper of him. So Cameron now keeping within the front pack. If he can do this, he could close down on the gap of Kieran Duplessis, now making his way down the hill. So he is utilizing the slipstream to make up a bit of time, and that's what he needs to do. Bertha dealing with Ulrich Sickers right behind him. Sickers part of that Road to Pro program earlier. Oh, Bertha going and clipping the wall. Sickers backing out a little bit just to go and give a bit of breathing room to fellow drivers, and now has to belly his way through. Eric Kirstein, he's dealing with Kieran Patterson right behind him. So Kieran now back on the climb as he goes after Kirstein up the hill, trying to make his way over the crest. And you can see how Kirstein's starting to feel the pressure now as Kieran looks to the inside. Slight little bit of contact. That Ferrari just getting thrown in sideways. Lamborghini looking a little bit more planted. Under braking, will Kieran be able to look for the inside line? Tries to get off Apex, and properly having a good fight there, because Kieran knows he needs to try and open the distance and get a little bit closer to the front pack. And if he can carry the momentum through the Forest Elbow, he may be able to utilize the slipstream in this point. Kirstein, who is needing to do the pit stop, will be caught out by the slipstream as they make their way through. Back up to the front though, Christopher Radloff with Rena right behind him, doing everything he can to make up the time. Christian Naidu with pulling in the pits, and I was going to say with Kerry Duplessis, he's able to get by without an issue at the moment. SES Day is trying to get himself going. The Air Force One, and I do want to point out, is actually a qualified captain. So that Air Force One has got his name on the car, but he is a qualified captain. So I found that one out. He's actually a pilot. Jaco Krobler, though, he goes off and loses a bit of time. Kieran Patterson and Eric Hussein battling it out. Looks like Kieran managing to just get past under braking and makes up a bit of time as well. So good to see him out there really putting in a great charge. So we're seeing battles up and down through the show, ladies and gentlemen. At the moment, all the drivers digging deep to close down the distance. Morgan McCall, 14.4 around it. And let's see what he'll be able to do. Christopher Radloff in second place. And then Gideon Rayner in third. Bashir Jadwat trying to make up the time. Oh, Cameron collecting the wall. Come on, Cameron. Get it going, buddy. Get it going. You got this. Just keep going. Make your way around. You know what? I give it up to drivers that can just keep it in there and keep going, especially with the battles at hand. Justin Lotus, Dean Cabasa, they had a little bit of argy-bargy with one another and landed up with a bit of contact. They're fighting for 16th and 17th. But I always go and support the guys that are going to dig deep. You know, it's like going and supporting the AM drivers, the Pro AM drivers that really go and give it and race their hearts out. I love to see it. Much like what the battles we're seeing. Gideon Rayner now pulling into the pits. Christopher Radloff, though, is going to be opening up the distance, so he's going to be keeping an eye on what happens. Morgan McCall, with that 14 going 15-second gap, is now starting to have a bit of fun. Bashir Jadwat, Johan Fodemover, they keeping close to one another, so Gideon Rayner is going to be keeping a close eye on Kieran Patterson, who's trying to make his way through. Kleinant's coming across the line. Kerry Duplessis across the line. SES Hayes, followed by Buerta, along with Andrik Sikkers. And now Kieran Patterson, one corner to go. And there's Gideon Rayner. So this is going to be a fight. Will he be able to stay out ahead of Kieran Patterson? Around the final corner, they're going to appear at the same time, both in the camera shot. So keep an eye. Gideon Rayner in the green Lamborghini. Kieran Patterson in the pinkish car going and battling it out. The two Lambos now giving chase, and Eric Kirstein trailing behind at the moment, be keeping a very close eye on this battle because Kieran Patterson knows that he is racing for position. Gideon Rayner has completed his pit stop, but has to get a bit of heat into those tires as he muscles his way around. There was only a splash and dash with both of the cars, so they're both on heavily worn tires at the moment. So let's see how it's all going to work out here. The drivers really battling and pushing as hard as they can. Cameron Bastos now heading back out on the circuit. Bit of repair being done to the car. And is part of our final cars going around, but hasn't given up the fight just as yet. So that is something very, very well done. Not to give up the fight. All the drivers digging deep, trying to figure out what they can do to climb their way up the ladder. Tiernos Buerta right up against the back of SESA. So it's the Air Force One versus the Hybrid Academy McLaren Evo going and fighting out. Hybrid Academy and a ZRC now taking it down to the wire as they keep a very close battle. Andrik Sikkers also 1.5 seconds back. He's keeping an eye on it. Gideon Rayner dealing with Kieran Patterson at the moment. They are fighting out. They're one of our closest battles out on circuit. So everyone else starting to open up, get a little bit of breathing room. Kerry Duplessis into the pits. So there's Duplessis into the pits. That's going to allow SES and Buerta to get past him. And Andrik Sikkers also into the pits. So now the pit stops are starting to roll in thick and fast. 25 minutes. And this is going to be it. And Francis Buerta, thank you very much for the correction. SE is actually a major. I do appreciate that. Yep. So he is a major. So he's still a pilot, but his official title is major, correct? If I'm reading that correctly. All right. That's good to know. And Robert Wentworth going and dropping the bombshell, saying that Ryan Ottens is the biggest fan of Robert Wentworth, and that's good to know. You know, you're giving him all the insight, just saying, you know, this is how it is. Okay, cool, great. Couple of battles out on circuit. Kieran Patterson, Gideon Rayner battling it out, nose to tail. The two Lamborghinis, 0.2 of a second. This is our closest fight currently out on circuit, as the drivers now are trying to do everything they can to close down the distances. And while they're fighting it out, they're getting closer and closer to the likes of Tiernos Buerta, who is only 10 seconds up the road. And SES is just so close by 0.8 of a second. So there is going to be a fight right and down to the wire between every single one of these drivers. But now the question comes in. 25 minutes done and dusted. Now we're going to see who will be able to get their way to line. Who's going to have the pit stop strategy to end off the GT3 Sprint Series on the right foot? Who's going to be able to climb the ladder? Who's going to conquer the mountain? Well, we're about to find out, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Hussein, though, in 10th position, is on a little bit of a losing wicket at the moment, still needing to do his mandatory pit stop. First to 7th, still needing to do their mandatory pit stop. Closest battle out on circuit is this one. Kieran Patterson and Gideon Rayner. Rayner just keeping ahead at the moment. And if I remember the first time I ran across, Rayner was actually, he was driving a Lexus at the time. Or was it the Aston Martin? Drove both, actually. That was the first time I got to go door to door with Rayner, and when I drove against Kieran as well. Other than they both left me looking for parking on a Sunday in church, out on the racetrack. I thought I was going the fastest, yet I got shown up big time by the drivers, so they got going and slugging it out, and they at the same time monitoring the gaps ahead of them. So let's see how it's going to go. And thank you, Francois Worth, going and saying, correcting me on that. Good to know. Like to get all the info, the strategy, a bit of the history that goes with it. And Quinton Ivey going and saying Robert Wentworth needs to start up his rig. Does Robert Wentworth own a rig? I thought that was just a fever dream that I had. Yeah. Now I still tend he's got it's a fever dream that we believe he's got a rig, because if he did, he would be racing, and he would be keeping an eye on the amazing action out that we're seeing for our GT3 Sprint Series. Round 8, our final round of the season here at Bathurst for the Season 10 of the GT3 Sprint Series. And, Rayner getting it sideways, so does Kieran Patterson. Both are going to take it down to the wire. Down the Conrad Straight, it's a drag race. This is a Van Diesel versus Brian moment. This is fast and furious of note. Looking at each other's white in the eyes. Seeing who's going to hit the brakes first. Both in the same machinery. Both with the advantage in terms of a Lamborghini. On the brakes though. Oh, contact between the two. Both get a little bit sideways. Door closes up on Gideon Rayner, gets himself going. Kieran gets himself going. They're going to keep up a charge. And they're going to continue to go side by side. Under braking into the final corner. My heavens. They just had a bit of contact between the two of them, and now they are going to properly keep going. Kieran switches around to the inside. Rayner goes to the outside, trying to get the drive. Both of them got their tires hurt on that one. This is a proper little fight. 8th and 9th position at the moment. So they're taking it down to the wire. Good to see them out there having a great charge. Henrik Sickers, though, dealing with Ryan Ottens, who's getting a little bit closer than planned. Side by side between our two Lambos as they fight their way through. Gideon Rayner riding the curb all the way through. Kieran Patterson doing everything he can as he fights his way up and down the hill. Then you have got Tines Buerta dealing with Essie Essays at the moment. Essie going and fighting it, being a major pain to Buerta, but being a major in defense at the moment, up and down the hill as they claw their way through. Henrik Sickers dealing with Ryan Ottens, the Road to Pro driver, going and battling out against one of the started out into the pros. So Ryan Ottens now trying to get ahead on Henrik Sickers, and Sickers, if he can lead out this little fight, is a big feather in the cap for him as they make their way through. Eric Kirstein, he's getting himself out of the pit, so good to see him getting himself going. At the moment, though, only ones they need a pit. First place, Morgan McCall, Christopher Radloff, Bashir Jadwat, Johan van der Merwe, Johan Kleinans, Essie Essays, and Tines Buerta needing to complete their pit stop. Well, no. I stand under correction. Sanjan Pillay needs to complete his pit stop, and so does Alan Patterson. And they can get their cars back out there to have a bit of fun. They still need to complete the pit stop, but they can get back into the fight. And I know Alan's going and keeping an eye on Kieran Patterson and Gideon Rayner at the moment, watching this fight tooth and nail. Sanjan Pillay is keeping an eye on Ryan Ottens and Sickers going and fighting their way out as they go side by side. So Reinhardt is managing to get past without too much of an issue on that one. And now we have got Gideon Rayner and Kieran Patterson. Tinas Buerta pulls into the pits. So he has broken away from SES Ace. So Buerta trying to do a little bit of an undercut. Kieran Patterson in a net first at the moment with Gideon Rayner tailing right behind. Remember, they are 16 seconds behind SES Ace. Then Kleinant's a little bit further up the road is 14 seconds behind Van der Merwe. Then Bashir Jadwat closing down the distance to Christopher Radloff and Morgan McCall out in first place. So this is going to do it. It is required to do a pit stop, one mandatory pit stop. They have to at least put 1 liter in the car. Stop in the box, put 1 liter in the car, and they will able to get out and going. And that counts as a pit stop. But that 1 liter can cost you 5.7 seconds in the box of stop, wait, get yourself going, and in the time you can lose out. Gideon Rayner, though, losing out the drive and loses out catching up to Kieran Patterson at the moment. So what on earth happened to him? Let's see if we can go back about 30 seconds and just get an in-car view. Did he catch the wall? Fighting his way up the hill, over the curb. Oh, left. Oh, he's able to keep it out. Didn't play ping pong too much, but I think a little bit of damage has occurred to that car. And he's going to have to try and battle it out. So, taking a look at the racing at hand, all the drivers trying to make their way through, and Ulrich Sickers, though, he gets towed back to the pit. So what happened to Mr. Sickers? Up the hill, over the curb, Ferrari playing nice at the moment, but let's see, will it carry on doing so? Slides it out, runs out a little bit wide, brings it back down the hill. Oh no, thud, crash, roll, oh my heavens! That is one of the biggest accidents we've seen. Rolling the car. Yep, no, that's a bit broken there. He's having to have that towed back. I know once the mechanics get hold of it, they will be able to get that car going. So, Mr. Sickers, don't give up. Get your teeth back into it, buddy. You're lying in 18th position. You have some time to claw it up. Cameron de Bastos catching up to the back of Fafirs. He's making up a bit of time as well. So, good to see Cameron Bastos not giving up the fight just as yet. He's going to keep pushing his way up through the field. And hats off. Absolutely hats off to the driver. Morgan McCall out in first place. Christopher Radloff in second. Bashir Jadwat in third. Has now caught up onto the back of Christopher Radloff. He is 0.8 of a second. That Porsche 992 GT3 going and really stepping up the pace and making up some time. Kieran Duplessis getting a position as he passes Ulrich Sickers, who's still being towed back to the pits after his barrel roll. And I don't think he played Star Fox. Bashir Jadwat pulling into the pit, so he's getting his mandatory pit stop sorted. Jan van der Merwe is going to keep going by. Will Kleinans do the same, though? Kleinans is a little bit further back, so we'll have the opportunity here to choose whether he's going to get in the box for the final 16 minutes or is he going to try and keep it going. He's going to keep it going. SES Ace, is he going to go into the box? Nope. The Major going to keep his drive going. Kieran Patterson, though, has opened up the gap to Gideon Rayner, who is lying 4.5 seconds behind. Rayner still going to push as hard as he can to make some closing distances. Bashir Jadwat now trying to get himself out of the pits quickly. Has got Kieran Patterson. These two rivals, two foes that have done battle before. And this is going to be a great one. Bashir Jadwat getting ahead of Kieran Patterson. Now needs to step up the pace. Kieran, who's trying to make up a bit of time, will be closing down the distance between them. Morgan McCall, though, and if he can get this win, I think it's going to be a massive, massive confidence boost for the driver, as he has had some of the worst luck of the season. And it seems like Lady Luck is finally going into the pits and saying, how can I help? To the McCalls. So it's good to see him out there. Cameron de Bastos, though, out in 21st position and is now closing down to get past Ulrich Sickers. Sickers looks like he may have retired the car. Come on, buddy. Get that car out there. You can do it. You can do it. Get the car out there. Lean into it. Lean into it. It's one thing. I don't want to see the guys end it this way. Not this way. Don't go down like this. Go down fighting for the final round. You made it this far. 8 rounds. 8 weeks of grueling racing. Grueling fights. You don't want it to be ending like this. So to everyone that's still out in the pits, Anrik Secher, Sanjin Pillay, Alan Patterson, Tinian Kube, even to those that have retired out of the server, have an opportunity to just take those cars off the trailers, put them back in the pits, and get that final lap in. Finish it the way you want to. Don't give up. Ryan Ottens onto the back of Turnus Buerta. Buerta going to get told, all right, you've got Ottens behind you. He is the current champion for the GT3 Sprint Series Season 10. And he's going to be chasing you. And you know what Buerta's answer is going to be on that one? Well, then catch me. So they are going to take the fight between one another, which is good to see. Krishna Naidu off to a great start. He's into 12th position at the moment, making up a huge amount of time. Good to see the new driver making his debut and is into the top 12 as it stands. Debut run for Raceface. He has not raced in the Raceface GT3 Sprint Series and in the Grid Championship. He's come into it. He's putting the fight and actually asked, listen, I want to be part of this. Let's go. Turnus Buerta losing our position to Ryan Ottens, under braking as they make their way through. 13 minutes to go though. Morgan McCall out in first. Christopher Radloff in second. Johan Vermeerve in third. Kleinans in fourth. Fifth place, SES House. So fourth and fifth are battling it out. Bashir Jadwat, Kieran Patterson, 6th and 7th. Killian Rayner, Ryan Ottens, Turnus Buerta, Harry Duplessis, Christian Naidu, Michael Schultz, Justin Lotus, Dean Cabasa, Jaco Krobler, Eric Kirstein, Kieran Duplessis, Sean Verfiers, and Anrik Secher is still parked. Come on, get that car out, buddy. You're in 20th. Cameron de Bastos in 21st, making up the time, closing down the distance. Now, the difference in laps by the end of this, Cameron de Bastos had a deficit of going roughly about 7 laps at one point behind 20th position. He has closed that down to just being behind 4 going 5 laps. No, less. He's on lap 15. Anrik Secher, who's getting the car out. So Secher has not given up the fight. He's getting himself back out there to just keep going. Good to see. That's the way to do it. That is the way to do it. Cameron de Bastos, though, after going and throwing in the towel, he took it back. He's going to give it everything he's got. Anrik Secher, who barrel rolled it, and I can tell you that everyone that's been in flight will say that's one way to make yourself sick, is now getting himself back out there as well. Good to see for the guys and having a great run out there, really pushing themselves going. Speedy ZA jumping into it. Buerta saying so far, good run for everyone. Florio Lagurdi saying very proud, which is great to see the guys all putting in the support for every single one of these drivers that are going and battling it out. And I want to point out, this is only our pro division. We do have the Pro-Am that is racing simultaneously at the moment and putting their hearts on their sleeves. First, second, and third of Pro-Am is coming down to this final race as well. So that is turning into a monumental battle. Morgan McCall, 35 seconds ahead of Kleinans at the moment. SESA's in third position. Christopher Radloff, who has completed his pit stop now, ahead of Bashir Jadwat. And Kieran Patterson trying to close down the distance as well. So they are going to take the fight. I do feel that maybe Morgan McCall has done enough to go and secure his position. If he can keep it all together, he's pulling into the pits. Here comes Kleinans, so he's only through the Forest Elbow right now, so there's plenty of time for Morgan. SES Days making his way through. He's closing down the distance on fellow teammate Christopher Radloff, keeping an eye on the mirrors as Bashir Jadwat. And then you've got Kieran Patterson starting to close down. Johan Vermeerve making his way out of the Forest Elbow as well as they closing their way through. This is going to be a proper run. And guys busy saying, can we get a show of that barrel roll that happened? Let's see if we can. Let's see. Let's try it. Let's Let's see if I can break the system. Car 92. Let's try and find car 92 after that massive barrel roll that happened. Is it car 92? It is. Okay. I'm trying to search for it, guys. I'm trying to see if we can maybe, just maybe, get that incident. And show for all the drivers out there, all the spectators. That's lap 1. It's not going to show. Let's see. This was Gideon Rayner and Kieran. They had the contact with one another. That's not what we're looking for. I think we may have missed it. I don't. Yeah, that was earlier on. Unfortunately, I can't seem to find it in my listing. So let's see what the guys will be able to do. I will try my best to find it and show. So, Morgan McCall, done his pit stop, done, dusted. Now just has to keep it going for 8 minutes. Clay Nuntz in second place, needing to do his pit stop. Essie still needs to do his pit stop. So that's second and third. Christopher Radloff, who's not too far behind. 5.3 seconds with Bashir Jadwat getting closer to the fight. Bashir looking to try and capitalize on the points here. Kieran Patterson, Jan van der Merwe, all have done their pit stop. So the remaining, I'm going to say 4 drivers because I'm going to put it out there. Sanjay Pillay, Alan Patterson, 5 drivers. Alan Patterson, Sanjay Pillay, you still need to complete your pit stop. Tini and Kuba, you have completed your pit stop. You can still get back out on the track. Clayton's pulling into the pits. SES Days going to keep it going. He's going to run it out a little bit longer. So he's not going to pit. He's going to keep it going. Christian Naidu, though, lands up hard contact into the wall. And that just happened in the last couple of seconds. So let's take a look. Let's go 30 seconds back. Fighting his way through. Really trying to keep it all together. Matt McLaren looking very unsteady over the curb. A little bit of dirt on the tires. Trying to slow it down under braking. Over the curb. Oh no! And just that snap. Unfortunately, got into a very slow snap oversteer. And that brought him into the wall while trying to control it. So he's dealing with some severe damage at the moment and will have to keep the charge. Can get that car done and dusted. Kleinans down into 10th position. Here comes Kerry Duplessis. Kleinans, I think, pitted a little bit late. But that's the warrior that comes in. SESA still needs to do his pit stop. Is it too little too late at this point? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to really find out. Cameron DeBastos making up the time. He has got 1 lap between himself and Unrik Sikkers. That was originally 4 laps. So let's see what he'll be able to do. Cameron DeBastos, 1 lap behind Unrik Sikkers. And I do want to point out, Unrik Sikkers barrel rolled his car. Cameron DeBastos smashed the car, threw in the towel. And thanks to you guys out in the chat, you guys in the grandstands, you convinced our drivers currently out on circuit to not give up, to keep going. And that says a lot to every single one of the spectators, the teams, the families, the drivers, the friends, the spectators that convince the guys, don't throw in the towel, keep going. And you know what? Unrik Sikkers, Cameron DeBastos, you two landed up with some severe crashes. You both threw in the towel. And thanks to the legends out in the grandstands, you guys will finish out your legendary tale. So that's good to see. That's not to take away from the fantastic racing we've been seeing. The guys really digging deep, pushing hard to close down the distances for the final remaining 5 minutes and 16 seconds left of this race. The final race of Season 10 for the Raceface GT3 Sprint Series. This is it. This is down to the wire. Kieran Patterson, he's got past. And what happened to Bashir? Bashir Jadwat, where is he? Car 83. No! Bashir Jadwat, I think, has just disconnected. Bashir Jadwat, fighting it out for third place, has just disconnected. Hopefully he can get that car back in and just try and finish out. He needs a championship points. No, 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 no. That's not what we want to see. So at the moment, Morgan McCall, SES, Christopher Radloff, Kieran Patterson out on circuit, Johan van der Merwe, Gideon Rayner going and battling it through, Justin Lotus getting past Christian Naidu, who is driving with some severe damage at the moment on his car. He's going to keep it going. He's going to keep driving it out, and he is battling to keep that car straight. He's battling to turn it in, and that's something I do want to point out. They are going to fight it out on this. See, guys, every single one of them with 3 minutes and 54 seconds to go. This is going to be a charge. This is going to be a monumental climb for all the drivers. Kerry Duplessis, Clay Nuns, they keeping close to one another. This is going to be the charge out till the line. Morgan McCall out in first place. SESA is pulling into the pits. I think he pitted too late because here comes Christopher Radloff. Here comes Kieran Patterson. Kieran would be putting himself into third place at the moment. And now it's a charge. Kerry Duplessis, though, he lands up with a monumental crash into the forest elbow. And now trying to get himself up and going. Oh, using the wall just to try and bring the car back. Limp that car back, buddy. Limp it back. Don't give up. Duplessis going and smashing. Guess he wasn't a fan of Amarok. He's going to be towing that car to the pits, but he needs to just keep going. It's too close to the end, guys. It's too close to the end to throw in the towel now. Morgan McCall out in first place. 25 laps. Has opened up a 20-second lead to Christopher Radloff as he tries to take the charge at this moment. Properly fighting it out. This is going to be a run down to the wire. Kieran Patterson making his way. He's currently in third place. Then you've got Johan van der Merwe, Gideon Rayner, Izzy Essays, Ryan Ottens, Tiernas Buerta, Johan Kleinans, along with Michael Schultz out in 10th position. Justin Lotus, Christian Naidu, Dean Kabasa, Jaco Krobler, Kerry Duplessis, who's been overtaken by Kieran Duplessis. Kerry Duplessis is still in pits. Then we've got Fafiers is in 17th. Eric Kirstein, Heinrich Sickers, Cameron de Bastos. Does look like Duplessis has decided to retire in the last remaining minutes of the race. If anyone has his number. Oh man, that goes to it. See Bashir Jadwat saying he disconnected. So he is unfortunately out of it. Bashir, is there no way that you can get back in? Just to complete the last lap. Is there no way you can do it, buddy? Come on, log into that server. Get back out on the track. Just to finish it. Just to finish it. Finish it the way you want to. By seeing that checkered flag. Morgan McCall out in first place. Christopher Radloff, Kieran Patterson, Johan van der Merwe, Gideon Rayner, all still doing what they can at the moment. Eric Kirstein has pulled into the pits, and Kirstein trying to get himself going. So this is going to be a run. But Morgan McCall leading the charge, as we heard from Jim, is on the final lap. SES though, he lands up with a little bit of contact, trying to make his way around one of the hybrid academies. Just a slight little rub, I think, between the two. But if I can reach out to the drivers, get the cars back in, score those points. Score those points. End it not with a DNF. End it with at least 1 point on the board. As we see Essie getting around, battling it out with Ryan Ottens. Ryan Ottens going and fighting it out. This is properly turning into a battle. Bashir Jadwat, if you can, get into it. End off with a point. Come on, buddy. Come on. SESA, Ryan Ottens taking it down to the wire. The two of them fighting it out for position at the moment. And this is going to be a proper run for the money. Fighting out for 6th. Morgan McCall making his way through. He's going to be finishing up and finishing in first place for the final round of the Raceface GT3 Sprint Series Season 10. And has finally finally broken the streak. After 8 weeks, he has broken the streak. Morgan McCall across the line. Christopher Radloff will be taking second place. Kieran Patterson with a absolutely fantastic... Oh, Bashir saying can't drive. He had to watch on his phone because of 5... Oh, man. Heart goes out to you, buddy. Kieran Patterson with a well-deserved third place. And the return of Kieran... And it looks like he hasn't lost a beat. Right behind Christopher Radloff. Johan van der Merwe comes across the line. Gideon Rayner, Ryan Ottens, and SESAs are going to fight through. Essie goes off circuit though. Gets a little bit of a tap against the wall. Ryan Ottens stretching it out. Essie with the final 2 corners has lost out 6th place. Ryan Ottens taking 6th. SESAs taking 7th position. Tiernis Buerta making his way around. In 8th place, 9th place, Johan Kleinert, Michael Schultz, Justin Lotus, Christian Naidu, Dean Kabasa, Jaco Krobler, Kieran Duplessis, Sean Verveers, Eric Kirstein, Ulrich Sickers, seeing the checkered flag right at the end, Cameron de Bastos finishing up right at the end and getting 19th position by the end of it. Sanjan Pillay, Tini and Kube are finishing out as well. Harry Duplessis, huge lag spike just before the hairpin. Could not get the car back. Would have been a danger to others on the track. Had to jump. Sucks, but I want to destroy other people's race. I fully agree. Sometimes you've just got to tow it back. But it would have been nice to see you try get that to the... Get it back. In terms of get into the server, not to have that disconnect. But we fully understand and take the hats off to making that call. What a race, ladies and gentlemen. What a race. Absolutely phenomenal stuff from our Raceface GT3 Sprint Series. For the final race of Season 10, we crowned our champion, Ryan Ottens, for the taking the championship. But with the new drivers, Christian Naidu, Kieran Patterson returning, and all the drivers putting in the hard work. I mean, let's just relive some of the action that was out there. What an absolute banger of a race. And, well, to everyone out there that's listening, absolutely massive, massive thank you. And I would like to reach out to the drivers that completed the GT3 Sprint Series. I would like you guys, the comment box is open. Come to the interview room. Let's see if we can get 1 or 2 of the drivers to just sum it up, give us a little bit of an insight into this championship, what it meant to them to get this far and actually finish out the championship, to be part of this, because it was an absolute amazing, amazing season of racing. And round 8 culminated in some of the closest of races, guys going side by side, pushing themselves that little bit harder every single step of the way through the mountain. And what a race it was. Guys also not throwing in the towel, not giving it up. And due to you, the spectators, the drivers, the teams, the families, to motivate everyone to get back in and continue the fight. Well done. Fantastic to see. And I take my hat off to everyone. Looks like the interview room is going to stay silent. I know that some people are going to be running into load shedding this time of the evening. But what a run it has been. What a championship to take a look back on. Close racing, close championship points. Through the highs, the lows, through all the craziness that's happened. All the joys, all the sorrows. It has been a proper fight all the way through. And I take my hat off to all the teams, the drivers, and you guys, the spectators, the families that tune in to go and support, whether you're watching it live, whether you're watching it in the past, and you're going and putting in all the support. We absolutely love it. A massive, massive thank you to the Raceface admin team for putting it all together. A big thank you for all the hard work behind the scenes, the stewards, the admin that allow this all to be, but to the drivers and teams that also have come together to make sure that everything ends off on the right foot and to start getting plans ready for heading into 2024 to get the rest of the racing sorted out for the rest of the year. we're going to see it absolutely amazing. And also to the drivers that didn't finish but came into the grandstands to see the end, I take my hat off to every single one of you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's go and talk about what's coming up this week. Coming up, we do have the Grid Championship Round 7, the second last round of the season here at Bathurst tomorrow evening for the Grid Championship, brought to you by Metal State, Raceface, and powered by MTN. You heard me right, the official sponsors for the Springboks. MTN going and putting in the support for the Grid Championship and fueling our cars right the way through for the second last round. So keep an eye out on that. Remember, there is a prize pool on the wire for all the drivers. Also coming up, round 7, Kyle Army for our Raceface Automobilista 2 on the 23rd. That is going to be a bit of fun. So if you want to get to see what a Formula 1 car does around Kyle Army, join in with Automobilista 2. Raceface entries are still open for everyone for the Grid Championship and for AMS2, so you guys don't have to miss out. You can be part of the final races, to be part of the amazing stuff that is happening, to be part of the community, to really send off the year with a bang. Then also round 10, we got Singapore, 26th of September. This is going to be a lot of fun for our F1 2023, brought to you by Raceface. Singapore, a very difficult circuit that's going to challenge the drivers to push themselves that little bit more to ensure they can take the championship right at the end. And then also coming up, we do have our Raceface Endurance. It's going to be happening on the 8th of October. So do not miss out on that, because we're going to be battling out around Kyle Army on the 8th of October. And that is not to be missed by any of the drivers, any of the teams, and you guys at home to be part of this as well. Big thank you to every single one of the drivers. A big thank you to every single one of the teams, the spectators. Thank you very much for an amazing season and what it has been. We'll see you next time for the Raceface GT3 Sprint Series. Let me try it again. Raceface GT3 Sprint Series Season 11 starting next year. Entries will be opening soon, so keep an eye out on our social media, out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also head over to our Discord and also if you want to join, head over to www.Raceface.pro to go and see all the amazing action that's happening. Lots to come. The future's bright. Lots of racing still to come this week, and you guys get to be a part of it. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, on behalf of myself, Stephen Koenig, and my co-commentator that wasn't able to make it this evening but will be returning soon enough, we'd like to say thank you very much. Big thank you to my co-commentator for going and being with me for the GT3 Sprint Series, Janeman Price, who is out in the Bundes at the moment. I think he's lost and his GPS is still asking him to recalculate at this point. But we'll see you next time for tomorrow evening for some amazing racing here at Raceface. And like always, I love to say it and I'll say it every time. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.